I'm really excited to talk to Angelica Alen this morning. Angelica, tell us a little bit more about yourself and what you do.
Hi, Stephanie. Thank you so much for having me. I am a health and life coach, a stage 3 bowel cancer survivor and thriver. And since my diagnosis, after I changed all my habits and had some incredible results, I became a health and life coach. And I now help people to change their lives by changing what they can do, which is their habits.
Angelica, you have a very interesting story, obviously a story that's deeply personal. Tell us a little bit more about that journey and how you got to turn your life around, heal, and become a health coach.
So when I was diagnosed with cancer, it was a shock, not only to myself, but to the doctors and everybody around me, as it wasn't genetic and I was very young. I was 38 years old. So the protocol was very much emergency surgery and 12 sessions of chemo. But very quickly, I realized that turning up to chemo alone wasn't going to be a long-term solution. I needed to do more around my health if I wanted to come out of not only that whole situation feeling healthier, but also how I was going to create health in the long term. So that's when I started changing my physical habits, my mental habits, and my emotional habits during chemotherapy. And the results were incredible. And when I say habits, I'm talking about diet, exercise, sleep, the normal habits that everybody talks around. But really, chemotherapy was an amazing opportunity for me to go inwards because I was at home, I self-quarantined, because I was getting lots of like coughs and colds. So I had an opportunity to really be with myself, by myself. And I went into this kind of self transformation discovery journey where I really had to sit with myself and learn who I was. At that point, I feel like I was living a sleep. I wasn't awake. I was just going from one thing to another very unconsciously. And I started really understanding what not only led me to that diagnosis, but how I wanted to live the rest of my life. And in that process, I was able to finish 12 sessions of chemotherapy feeling stronger than I started. And that's when I realized that it was my calling to help people, that to help people that not were only kind of already in the same situation as me with a diagnosis, but there is so many other signs that you can feel before that they're in diagnosis. And I became really passionate about helping people before the crisis, before they kind of dug themselves the hole that I had dug myself. And I started helping people to really taking control of what they could do, because I really believe that there is so much power in what we can do daily. So the journey that I went on was personal journey. And in after that, I also study I studied a Bachelor of Holistic Health Science at Quantum University and a Quantum Health Coach certification as well. And, in that whole, and for me, it was really good that I had lived through the experience of the healing experience, the transformation, that coming back to myself, walking back to myself, not only physically, but mentally and emotionally, because I can speak from a place of power. When clients tell me, Angelica, this is really hard, I know where they're coming from, because it is hard, it's not easy at times, but I also know what's possible. And I really truly believe that everything is possible when we set our minds to it.
Angelica, it's such a beautiful and powerful story. I'm wondering if you can give us some more detailed information in this journey when you were sitting by yourself. Really, what were the sort of pivotal points where you thought, I'm onto something?
Yeah. Firstly, I feel that I was a stranger in my own body. I was so disconnected, not only from who I was as a person, but also from my body, my feelings, my emotions, because I had suppressed it so much. So I had, it had become a habit for me to just not acknowledge any of my feelings, any of my emotions. And I held on to a lot of it in my body. So as I sat with myself, I started really learning how to feel feelings, to feel emotions, to be okay with it, to understand that it's okay to have a good day and a bad day. It wasn't only because I was having chemo, but that it's okay. but also really work through some emotions and feelings that I had been holding on to, a lot of resentment, a lot of anger, a lot of stress. And I think that, when I look at the overall reason why I had cancer, I would say a third was physical, around diet and exercise, not really looking after myself and putting my health, my physical health first. A third was stress related. So not dealing and managing my stress on a day-to-day basis and letting it accumulate to a point to become chronic stress. And third was emotional. And the emotional part was really a very, very important part. I needed to forgive. I needed to let go a lot of resentment. I had hold on to a lot of anger. And, the cancer was in the intestines where you hold your shit. So I needed to let go of that shit. And I needed to really change that energy that was trapped in my body. So those were the three key things that I worked through one by one. As I, started getting stronger physically, I could tackle the mental, manage my stress better. Then I could tackle the emotional, which is always kind of the hardest. Because it's the one that it's really ingrained in ourselves, and we kind of keep practicing unconsciously. So for me, it was very much like a taking my body and my life into pieces and kind of puzzling all back together, but in a different way.
So beautiful. Thank you so much for this more detailed account. Angelica, what motivates you going forwards? What is sort of your main motivator?
So my main motivators are definitely my kids. They were the ones that got me started on this journey. When I really felt helpless and hopeless at the beginning of my diagnosis, for me it was very much, I need to show up every day as best as I can so I can survive for them. But the motivators these days is also myself. I really created this beautiful relationship with myself, and I can truly say that I love myself and that I have like this desire to really help people to really reconnect themselves. So it's helping people not to go down the same path that I went to stop people from accepting the suffering, really, so the people can feel empowered that there is so much that they can do to change their lives.
To not accept the suffering, that's such a beautiful thing. And I think we are almost immune to that in this day and age so often. So thank you for saying that. Angelica, I'm wondering, what are you most proud of?
I am proud of so many things. I'm proud of being able to finish chemotherapy, 12 sessions of chemotherapy, feeling stronger than I started. That was incredible. I'm proud of creating the fittest and healthiest body I have ever had at 43 years old. I'm proud of letting go. I'm proud of for having had the courage to forgive. I'm proud for having had the courage to be honest with myself. I'm proud of having helped a lot of people to see things from a different perspective, to really open themselves up for different possibilities in their own lives. I'm proud of the transformation that I took my family through. I did not only change my diet and my habits, but I also changed my husband's and my kids' habits. I'm very, very proud of that too.
Oh, that's beautiful, Angelica. Thank you. Angelica, what top quality do you have going forwards being a health coach, helping people to find better habits?
I think there is nothing more powerful than working with somebody who has gone through it. I was very sick. I was not only just exhausted or not feeling very well. I was very, very sick. And then on top of that, I had the chemotherapy. And I think when you work with somebody who has actually been able to doing what you want to do, changing your habits from a place of, despair or exhaustion or sickness or feeling hopeless and helpless, it's very empowering. And I think there is no degree out there that can teach you that. And I also feel that because I have treated myself as a whole holistic being, as a whole human being, not only the physical but the mental and the emotional, I have the capacity to really take people on that journey, not only to look at one thing, disease and exhaustion and anything that happens in our physical body is a combination of several different things that have been happening in our lives for a long time, not only physically, but also mentally and emotionally. So looking at the whole picture, I think it's really important as well.
Yeah, definitely. Absolutely. Angelica, what top tips would you give other women? Now, given your journey, what sort of maybe top three lifestyle choices would you say are the most important in leading a healthy life?
So I think as women, we have a tendency to look after everybody else before ourselves, and have the constant need to be the nurturer and the person there for everybody else, and we leave ourselves in the kind of the last number in the pile. For me, especially as a mother, I think it's really important, if I have to give something that is practical, to wake up 5 minutes, 10 minutes before everybody wakes up and look after yourself first. It doesn't matter what you do. It could be just drinking your coffee, gazing out the window. It could be just walking for 5 minutes on spot. It could be doing 5 minutes meditation. But knowing that you have looked after yourself first before anybody else, I think that is slowly start filling your cup in a way that you start building a different relationship with yourself. And I think it's a very, very important, especially as a woman. So practically starting the day, a lot of people, tell me, not Angelica, but it's really difficult, to start the day. By the time that the day starts, at the end of the day catches up with you, and it's very hard for you to find time for yourself. So it's really creating that sacred time for yourself in the morning. The second tip would be exercise. I think exercise, it's incredible, and it doesn't have to be, again, boot camp, 45 minutes, weights and going to the gym. It doesn't have to be like that. I started exercising just going for a walk, 5 minutes, 10 minutes walk. Just do whatever you can. And a lot of people, again, they say to me, but Angelica, like, I'm always on the go. I used to run from one meeting to another. But exercise needs to be, again, a time that is dedicated to you, a time that you're dedicating to exercising your body. Everything that we do, the body's feeling it. The body is listening, it's feeling it. So once you start giving a little bit to your body, the body gives so much back. So exercise will be the second one. And the third one, it would be eating as many fruits and vegetables as you can. I think in the Western society, we have a tendency to eat a lot of animal product and wheat without even realizing. And it's important for us to, I don't believe that everybody should just follow one diet, but being conscious that most of your plate needs to be filled with colorful vegetables. Eat as many fruits and variety that you can throughout the day, instead of reaching out for that pack of biscuits and chocolate. And because once you start, again, nourishing your body with the right variety of foods, mentally you're gonna start feeling a massive impact as well on your health. So I think those are the pillars of health. Really, if you have this solid foundation, you can start building better habits, and because you're gonna have the physical strength to doing that.
Amazing, Angelica. Thank you for these real top tips. Angelica, what are your plans or your goals or your dreams for the next couple of years?
So I am just finalizing my book, which I'm so excited about. I know, so it's just like literally final little details. I'm going to be publishing that in the next few weeks, which is going to be very, very, very exciting. I am going to focus on on workshops for corporates as well to empower employees to take control of what they can do. I feel that, the way for us to change the world health is by each of us taking the responsibility of what we can do. And if all of us start changing our habits, the things that we do daily, I really think we can start creating this ripple effect that it's going to impact everyone. So for me, it's important, just creating the teaching in more of a group environment. In corporate, I was in corporate, I know how stressful it can be, how pressed for time everybody is. But I believe that it's very important to help people to be guided to doing those few things that they can do daily, so they can become a better person and a better employee as well. And I'm also going to focus on public speaking and sharing my story. I believe that, my story is very empowering for people that are feeling, hopeless, helpless. They want a different, but potentially a direction in their lives, or potentially they are dealing with a disease and they want to get better, feel better and healthier. There is so many different learnings from my story, around resilience, around discipline, around habits, determination, and how you can, keep on track of creating this life on your terms. Because for me, I had to face my own mortality at 38 years old, and it was very apparent that we have a limited amount of time. And a lot of us are walking around thinking that it's not going to happen to us. But that's the only certainty we have. And unless we really grab life by the horns and say, this is what I want and this is what I'm building every day, nothing is going to change. And I want to empower people to doing that.
What a beautiful purpose in life to have, Angelica. Thank you so much for sharing your story with She Can today. I have one last question, just because it's an interesting place where you studied, the Quantum University. Can you tell us a little bit about that?
So when I finished my treatment and I actually went back to my corporate role, I didn't feel I belonged there anymore. And then I started looking at courses that I could do to potentially pivot my career. I had been in the same career for 10 years. I enjoy what I did, but when I went back after the cancer, I just couldn't feel fulfilled anymore. And I knew life was short and I needed to do something about it. But at the same time, when I looked at the courses around, they were very focused on one thing, was either the nutrition or the psychology, or they were, even, becoming a doctor, you have to be very specialized. And for me, I didn't see myself fitting in any of those boxes, because I did the work that I did with myself. It had been a holistic approach. I looked in every area of my life. I did not only work my body. I changed my mental habits. I changed my emotional habits. I couldn't see just doing one thing. So I found Quantum University as the only really educational platform and university that was providing this platform, teaching an approach that was completely holistic, and everything that they were teaching is I had experienced myself as a patient. I had experienced myself as a survivor and a thriver, and I truly believed in that because I got the results. So for me, it was very much getting the confirmation of what I had done in a piece of paper. I studied the Quantum Health Coach certification, then I studied the Bachelor of Holistic Health Science, but most importantly, I had lived through it. And for me, it was very easy to understand the concepts and everything that they were teaching. And it gave me more information and more power. There is a lot of research that is behind everything that, more that I do now, to really help people to see themselves as a whole beings, that as unlimited possibilities.
Angelica, thank you for this really inspiring conversation.
Thank you so much for having me.